Another day, another recap. Today we'll be diving into a drama action movie by the name of Blue Ruin. This movie encompasses a revenge story where a murderer is being freed from prison. His only problem: the two people he killed have a son that's not so happy about hearing this. Without further ado, enjoy the recap. The story begins in a peaceful home with the sound of running water. In the bathtub is a man named Dwight. Suddenly, a family returns home and Dwight, realizing he's not alone, quickly climbs out of the window without any clothes and escapes. He finds solace on a beach where he starts gathering whatever he can find. He appears to be homeless, living each day as it comes, often spending nights in his car. One day, as Dwight is waking up in his car, a police car stops beside him. An officer named Eddie asks him to come with her. At the police station, Officer Eddie wants Dwight to be with someone when he hears some news. She hands him a newspaper, which reveals that the person who killed both his parents is being released from jail. After leaving the police station, Dwight carries on with his day. The next morning after a swim, he stops at a gas station. He buys a map to Virginia, refills his car's fuel, replaces the battery, and pumps up the tires. It's clear he's preparing for a significant journey. Although he considers buying a gun, the presence of security cameras changes his mind. Instead, he purchases a postcard, scribbles a message on it, and drops it in a mailbox before continuing on his way. As darkness sets in, Dwight pulls over and tries to open a few parked cars, but they're locked. Frustrated, he shatters a window and snatches a box from inside. As he drives away, it's revealed he's taken a pistol. He fumbles with the safety device, but in his struggle he breaks the gun. Disappointed, he tosses it away and keeps moving. His journey leads him to a prison, and he parks nearby. It's the place where the man who killed his parents is set to be released. A family pulls up to welcome the man home. Dwight's emotions surge as he catches a glimpse of the murderer. Silently, he makes the choice to tail their vehicle. Upon reaching their home without wasting any time, Dwight breaks into the property. Quietly navigating inside, he hides at the first spot he finds. When he spots the man who took his parents away from him, Dwight acts on instinct. With swift determination, he confronts and stabs the man. They tussle briefly, but soon the man collapses, lifeless. Dwight exits the bathroom trying to blend in as if nothing had transpired. He makes it outside and rushes to his vehicle. Inside, he notices his hand is sliced open and realizes his keys are missing. Seems he left them in the restroom inside the house, and the other people also notice their dead friend. Dwight races to another vehicle outside and luckily finds the keys. He takes off as the people inside the house race out to catch him. But he manages to flee, with the tire pretty demented. He continues on the street until he hears a bang from the barrier behind him. He pulls the car to the side of the road, and a man steps out of the back and sees Dwight covered in blood. He asks if he hurt Wade, and when Dwight confirms he did because he hurt his parents, the man says, "I don't think he did," and runs off. With the tire popped, Dwight makes his way across some trees and sees a few houses. He sees a ghost house and breaks in. Inside, he gives himself a trim, combs his hair, and grabs a new outfit. He turns on the news and flips through the channels seeing if he is being featured on them, but finds nothing. He hitchhikes with a truck driver and the scene cuts to a woman by the name of Sam. She leaves her two children in the hands of her babysitter and heads to work. On her way out, she sees Dwight hanging out on the front and he approaches her. They make their way to a diner where we learn this is his sister. She asks if he needs money and he tells her no and asks if she got the postcard he sent, which she also responds with a no. The two apologize to each other for not keeping touch with one another, and Sam tells Dwight she has 2 daughters now. She also interrogates why he is appearing after all these years. He then leans over and tells her that he killed Wade. She gets a real kick out of this news and says his brother operates a big limousine service in the neighborhood. But Dwight realizes Wade's family never contacted the police, and he quickly tells her they need to make sure her daughters are safe. They contact the babysitter, and when she doesn't answer, they arrive at the house. Fortunately, both her daughters are okay, and she smacks Dwight for scaring her. She kicks him out, but from outside, he tells her he wants her to move as he fixes the situation with the Cleland family. She refuses to move, even though the car he left behind at the killing was registered to her address. Inside the house, Dwight plays with the 2 girls when Sam enters and agrees to leave. She packs her bags up and jumps into the car and decides to disrespect Dwight on another level.
I'd forgive you if you were crazy, but you're not. You're weak.
I really hope he makes her eat those words. As he now has control of the house, he locks it up and turns the lights off. As night comes, he watches for any intruders. He makes his way upstairs to find his old belongings, but hears a car outside. He rushes downstairs and spots a car parked outside. There seems to be at least 2 men in the car, and he runs upstairs to turn one of the lights on in the room, as well as the bathroom tap. Holding a pitchfork, he awaits his intruders. One breaks the window from around the house, while one stands right in front. He goes to look for the car keys, but the door squeals open, which causes him to jump on the ground. He crawls through the house and sprints. When he's outside, though, he is spotted. He manages to get to the car and the man outside pulls a shotty, but is instead smacked by Dwight. The other man shoots his crossbow as well but misses his mark. This allows Dwight to grab the shotty, and the intruder immediately makes a run for it. When he thinks he's safe, Dwight grabs the unconscious man and puts him into the back of the car but is simultaneously shot in the leg. Nonetheless, he quickly jumps in his car and speeds off, barely managing to survive. As dawn breaks, Dwight grabs the money from his captive's wallet and hides the man's pistol. He drags him out of the car and while panting quite heavily, he throws his prisoner into the boot and takes away the rest of his belongings. While the arrow is still inside his leg, he uses the car as leverage as he saws off the arrow. He makes his way to the local convenience store and acquires items he needs to seal off the wound. While sitting in the back of his car, he begins the procedure by putting the pliers in alcohol and then uses it to take out the arrow stuck inside. The pain is too much to bear, and so he runs to a nearby hospital and collapses. He awakens a couple hours later to see his wound has professionally been stitched up. He makes a quick escape from the hospital, and still with his gown on, he heads back to his car. He knocks on his boot to see if the man is alive and gets a loud response. With that, he jumps into the car and heads off. He takes the vehicle back to Sam's place, and after fixing the broken window and cleaning the glass on the ground, he heads off once again. This time, though, he hides in a desolate location. Dwight finally receives some news when the man's phone rings. Turns out the other man returned to where he was supposed to be, and they want to know exactly where his prisoner is. Dwight then makes his way to his old neighborhood and knocks on a door. An old woman answers and speaks with him, but when he reveals his name to her, she tells him to come in. Inside, Dwight asks where his old friend Ben might be. He is informed that he has moved away and is now part of a band. She hands him the location, and after he thanks the old woman, he heads off. Dwight soon finds himself at a club where he asks someone if Ben plays there. She tells him yes, and so he waits outside the club for his friend to finish work. Dwight finally spots and chases him. Ben cannot believe it, as he thought Dwight was killed or something as he just disappeared. Dwight tells Ben that he needs a massive favor. The scene then cuts to Ben's house where he asks Dwight if he needs a gun for close quarters or long range. When he responds with close quarters, Ben then pulls out a Mini 14. He does not want to hear about anything Dwight is up to. But as a dear friend, he offers him some privacy in whatever he is doing on a 16-acre field that he owns. The following day, Dwight takes his vehicle to Ben's property. There he decides to go face-to-face with his prisoner and pops open the boot. The man introduces himself as Teddy Cleland, the brother of the man that Dwight killed. Teddy is handed some water and Dwight tells him what happens if he surrenders himself to the police. Teddy simply states that he will not allow Dwight to lock himself up and get away with the murder of his brother. Dwight then repeats what that other man said to him, that Wade didn't kill his parents. Teddy says that's true. Dwight fires a shot off to force him to speak. Teddy elaborates saying it was his father, Big Wade, who done it. He found out Dwight's father was playing around with his wife, so he killed Dwight's dad and his mom as well. He also elaborates saying his father had cancer and they didn't want him to die in jail, so they let little Wade take the hit instead. Dwight hands Teddy a phone to call his family for a meetup. When someone answers and wants to talk to Dwight, he gets closer to the car and Teddy grabs the gun and subdues him. Teddy laughs at how weak Dwight is and aims the gun at him. Then bang! Teddy drops dead as Ben reveals himself from the bushes. Dwight is over the moon, as he didn't even know Ben was there. They clean up the evidence, and Ben takes Dwight to do some training and gives him a better and more accurate gun. He tosses him some much-needed ammunition, and the duo go over the good times they had together over the years. As Ben understands why Dwight is going through all of this as revenge for his two dead parents, the two give each other a hug, and Dwight heads out. He turns on the radio and kicks back as the car cruises through old country roads. He stops at a diner, jams a little bit, even has a vomit frenzy. Then burns the last picture he has of the two together, so there is no evidence linking them. Dwight then pulls his car behind some trees and proceeds to jump out, leaving the keys in the ignition. He makes his way to the Cleland's family house and goes inside the property. After taking a quick look at the car, then a glance inside the house, he breaks the door and enters. With his heart pounding, he goes up the stairs and with his gun at the ready goes through room after room, but finds nothing. He even looks inside the garage, but in disbelief, no one is there. He starts searching the place and finds multiple guns. He sees a welcome home banner and feels a touch of regret as he takes the guns away in a bag. There, he finally finds the grave of his parents' killer. He continues by throwing away the guns and setting a barricade inside for himself. He hangs out until night falls, and when he gets bored, he starts going through some family books. When dawn finally breaks, he decides enough is enough and heads back to his car. He grabs a shovel and makes a grave for Teddy. But while doing this, he hears a phone from the house ring. He rushes inside to find a voicemail by the Clelands who are trying to contact Teddy. Dwight uses Teddy's phone to call the house and leaves his own voicemail. Once again, night falls, but this time, a car pulls up the driveway. Dwight hides behind a wall, and the Clelands run inside and listen to Dwight's voicemail. They hear in disbelief that Dwight confesses to killing Wade and Teddy and wants this to stop. As they anxiously listen, the man there says he's going to kill Teddy's sister, and boom. Dwight isn't having it and injures the woman and kills the man. The older woman tells Dwight not to shoot them. As she talks and distracts him, the kid from earlier sneakily enters the room with a shotty and puts a bullet into Dwight. But he doesn't finish the job, and Dwight manages to move the shotty and aims his rifle at the young boy. His bullet wound is pretty bad, but he interrogates the family. Dwight tells the young boy to go to his car and leave. As the kid walks away, the Clelands try to grab a gun, and all we hear is bullets firing. As the boy walks off, Dwight, the only one still alive, breathes his last breath. The house turns into a major crime scene, and we finally realize why Dwight wrote that postcard at the beginning. To send a message to his sister, knowing that he would die in the process of taking out the Clelands. The end. Make sure to smash that subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one.